we are live right here in my, I call all these places in New York City my backyard. And when I do my Wind Down Wednesdays, it's in Central Park. Right now I'm having conversations with Christa. I love to see conversations with Christa about creating consistencies, like all these C's. And I'm doing that here in the middle of Harlem, where I was born and raised. And this is my guest, Christa David.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, let us know. Give us some thumbs up if you can hear me, or is the sound coming through good? Thumbs up, please. That's the only way. This thing of talking live is not so very easy when you're talking and people are watching, but they're not saying anything. So, you do it very well, right?
Need thumbs up so we know that you can hear us.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. It is a time to start, and as I said, and I'll start with my introduction. My name is Keisha Orr, and I am an empowered speaker, a storyteller, a corporate trainer, and above all, my biggest accomplishments is that of a mother to 3 beautiful daughters. Yay! And I am joined here today with Christa David. I am going to give a more formal introduction as I read her bio. But right now, I see more people joining, so thank you so much. Say hey, Christa.
How you doing?
Thank you for joining us during your lunchtime or, your break time or whatever. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Keisha Orr, and I'm here with Christa David. So I'm going to read a little bit about Christa. But before I do that, as I said, we are in Harlem.
Yes.
We're born and raised.
Raised in Harlem.
Raised in Harlem. There you go. I'm looking to come back one day. Huh?
I hope so, but gentrification is real.
It really is. Did you see the new Whole Foods?
Listen, I saw it. I saw it.
Gentrification is real, which makes it a lot difficult.
Yes,
but that's a conversation for another
time.
Another
day.
And what's behind us right now is this beautiful mural. We're actually in the State Office Building Plaza.
Yep.
Right across the street is the Studio Museum. I thought this an ideal place, particularly as I was thinking of you, right? 1, there's artwork behind us.
Yes.
2, there's the Studio Museum.
AKA church. I love it. I go there all the time.
All right, so you go there all the time. And there, I do recall, as I was watching your Insta stories, there's something that you want to do in particular at the Studio Museum.
Oh, I want to be an artist in residence. I won't find out until the end of August. It's a long shot. But you gotta shoot your shot. I shot my shot. I put in my application. I just gotta wait to see what happens. And even if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna keep trying until it does.
Yay! So I thought knowing that, I felt like we're gonna just continue to put the energy out there.
Yes.
So we're in close proximity to where she wants to be. So let me just share a little bit about my guest and a short bio. Christa David, is New York City-based mixed media artist, writer, and researcher, fusing the mediums of painting, collage, and assemblage. Her work examines themes of faith, power, politics, and identity. In September 2016, after years of making art in the cracks, nights and weekends, alongside her demanding work as senior public health researcher at New York City Department of Health Center for Health Equity, Christa David leaped into making art full-time. Christa David is proud 2-time Columbia University Lion, Bachelor's of Arts, and Masters of Public Health. Her work is held in private collections throughout the United States and has been most recently exhibited in a group titled Juan Rulfo Turns 100 at the Alexander Avenue Apartment 3A Gallery in Bronx, New York. Woo!
Thank you,
When you hear that bio, because here's the deal. September 2016.
Almost a year.
It's almost a year. When you hear that, what do you experience when you hear your bio read?
I'm sitting here like, wow, that's a lot. I can't believe it's been a year already.
Mm-hmm.
Time flies, so that's another reason why you should do whatever it is you want to do, because time will pass no matter what. But it's been a great year.
Awesome. And so I want to get this out, put this in here while you're here. So you can find Christa at several handlers. Her website is www.christadavid.com, Instagram at christadavid.art, Facebook is Christa David Art, and Twitter at Christa David Art. So when I was looking at this, I said, well, that's the way to be consistent.
Yes.
talking about consistency, right?
You have to. ChristaDavid.art.
ChristaDavid.art. So as many of you may or may not be aware, I had started this 21 days of creating consistency. Today is day number 17. And the reason I started is because I wanted to strengthen my practice through chanting. And I realized that I hadn't been doing it. And I figured, well, if I put myself out there and use all the world of Facebook to serve as my accountability partners, that I'll be held accountable and I'll show up and I'll do it. And so far, it's day 17 and I've been doing it consistently. And hopefully next week, you'll have an opportunity to hear from me my reflections of how that has been, because that'll be when the 21 days is over. And I've been doing it consistently for 17 days, morning and afternoon. And so when I thought about that, I also shared 10 tips to creating consistency. And I thought of Christa. And I said, here's a woman who has moved from the traditional career to that of being an entrepreneur. And I have to imagine that consistency had to play a role in that somewhere, somehow. Yes? So back to your bio where you said, leaped into making art full time. One of the step ones to creating consistency, step one was to make a decision and then get started. But I see that as a two-parter, kind of part A and part B. Part A being making a decision, right? And then getting started. So talk to us a little bit about how you came about making the decision to not do it in the cracks anymore, and then getting started. What did that process look like?
Right. So I think the making it in the cracks was really important as a foundation. I think because I spent about 4 or 5 years just making art consistently in whatever time I had, and selling my work on the side of my day job. And then it got to a point where it just became too painful to kind of go to the day job and give 8 solid hours to a really good cause, and I had great colleagues, and it was a great job, and it's a great way to sort of spend your time. But for me, it just became so painful to go to work every day when I wanted to be in my studio. I wanted to flip the ratio. I wanted to give the best part of my day to my art practice, and then if I had time left over, do public health research work. But when I made the decision to quit, it was after thinking about it for at least a year and like doing some planning. Like, you got to get your money right, you got to get your mind right, you got to get your support in order as far as friends and family on board. So there's steps that you have to, or that I took before I just quit my job. I didn't just decide out of the blue, hey, the actual event of quitting my job was out of the blue. Like, it was after lunch. I came back, I was tired of complaining, and I said, you know what, I think it's time for me to go. But I had been thinking about it for months prior to that. I knew how much money I had saved. I knew that I could get sort of part-time public health work to kind of help with the finances. So I knew the details of the particulars about my personal situation. I don't have small children at home. I am single. I'm not single. I have a partner, but we're not married. And so for me, I just looked at my situation, and I was just like, you know what? This is as good as a time as any. The conditions will always be imperfect. The worst thing that can happen is I run out of money, I can't pay my rent, and I gotta go stay with my mother. That's not so bad to me. Some people may seem that as horrible, but I'm still gonna have my health. I can still jump back into the job market if I wanted to. Like, it just didn't seem like a bad thing. Right. So I was like, it's like YOLO. You only live once.
You only live once. You know, it's so great because you actually touched on tip number 6, which is fail to plan or plan to fail.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I heard in your journey to quitting your job, was that you had put a plan in place. And so the decision, go ahead.
Caveat. So I will say this, that if you are thinking about leaping from your day job into something else, you will never have a surefire plan. There's no book, no blog, no conversation that will prepare you for the ups and downs of working for yourself or doing your craft. I did have a sketch of a plan, But it didn't turn out any way like that. It just didn't. The only thing I knew for sure was that I knew I would have money to last for a certain amount of time. I knew I had the support of my friends and family, and I knew that God was going to keep me, like literally. So I knew what I was going to do. Yes, sell art, make art, try to sort of build my collector base. But I didn't have all the details planned out, so I don't want people to get into this space of analysis paralysis, because the plan is going to explode and fall apart many times. You're going to build it back up. I mean, it's just a process.
Right.
So yes, have an idea what you want to do. Yes, have some money saved up. Yes, have a solid support group, but just be open to how it's going to be.
Yeah, I appreciate hearing that, because as you said, analysis paralysis, often we can get stuck in the details and then never get out to actually living the dream. And also hearing that it became very painful for you. You needed to flip that ratio of time that you were spending doing the traditional 9 to 5 and then doing that of your passion. And I think that is something that's very important, when you can start to feel very uncomfortable and pain, like it hurts.
Crying
before
you gotta go to the 9 a.m. meeting, like, oh my God,
what am I doing here?
My best friend will tell you, she's talked me off a lot of limbs because we worked in the same office.
Right. Yeah. So after you've made your decision and then you got started, right? I think the other thing, and we may have touched on this a bit though, is really establishing this is number 2, because I think this is paramount, is establishing your reason or your why. Because I feel like the only way that it will really hurt is if you're able to connect to the bigger vision of it all. So what was that vision for you? And like, you're such a beautiful woman, multi-talented, and yet you chose art. Like, what was it about that as opposed to maybe the blogging or the writing or something else?
So, I mean, I've been making art for a long time. I started when I was 12. And then I went to an arts high school. I went to LaGuardia High School of Music and Art, aka the Fame School. But then I stopped making art when I went to college, because I think subconsciously, or maybe even consciously, there are things that were spoken to me and spoken over me about how art was not a lucrative way to go, how it's not realistic, and how artists are starving. And like, I didn't want any parts of that because I grew up poor, and I was like, no. So I just went the traditional route and cut off all the creative stuff because I didn't see it as a viable career path. So, but I know better now. There are lots of creatives and artists who figure out a way to create the lives that they want, either straight through their art practice or through other creative ways. So now that I know what's possible, I'm less afraid to sort of stay in that one-minded way of thinking, like you can only be a doctor, lawyer, accountant type of person. Those things are great if you are, but
shout out to the accountant, doctors, lawyers.
We need you. But there is space for creatives, and creatives are making money in lots of different ways. So, and I'm more open to it now.
Right. So would you say that your reason or your why?
Oh, and then my reason, 2 reasons. One, I aspire to be financially free and financially independent. And what that means is my money is making money. I'm super clear that I'm not going to get rich by having a 9 to 5. My job was well paying. I made 6 figures. It had a good pension. All these things which are great. We need city workers. Listen, we need y'all. But for me, I just knew that that is not how I'm going to build wealth. That's not how I'm going to build generational wealth. And I know that entrepreneurship and thinking of businesses to solve people's problems was going to be the way for me. And I just wanted to give it a go. Like, why can't I think about creating products and services that are going to help people, either art related or non-art related. Like, I take my art into all sorts of creative avenues. So I wanted to be financially free. And then I also wanted my time. I want to be time independent. I want to be able to work from anywhere. I think had my job or jobs like mine, if they were more flexible, where you can pick up and work from anywhere, like you can work from home a couple days a week, or if you only had to work 4 days a week, if it had a little bit more flexibility, I probably would have stayed longer.
Right.
But I feel trapped. Like, I don't want to be sitting somewhere from 9 to 5 when I know I can do my job in the south of France.
How about
you know
that?
What I'm saying?
Yes.
So I just take my laptop and go. So I wanted freedom, my time, and then I just want to start to cast a vision for what it would look like to build generational wealth. Via my art, but then also through my other creative endeavors.
That's wonderful. And so anyone who perhaps has a business out there, one of the things that Christa said, she said many things, but the one thing that resonates with me, so if you're a business owner, if you have employees, flexibility, because I really believe that people will stay and they're doing the job that they're doing because they do enjoy it and they're skilled at it. And so one of the ways to employee happiness, I think, is the flexibility. And so if there's a way that you can be flexible to allow for people to have their passions and do the things that they love, and also I think they'll show up much happier and productive at their work. So that wasn't the case for Christa, and so she made a decision. One, as she said, she wanted to be able to have her time, and I think that that's so very important, and also to be able to create wealth, like generational wealth. I have to also imagine, so when, again, if you're just joining in, so I just want to do a check-in. Hi to everyone that's there with us right now, doing a check-in really quickly. I am here with Christa David, artist. She has transitioned from a career woman, 9-to-5 traditional, to that of an entrepreneur, of doing art. And again, my name is Keisha Orr, and I'm an empowered speaker, a coach, and a storyteller. And so thank you so much for joining in and listening to us. I have Christa joining us to talk about consistency, because I've shared 21 days of creating consistency and have been on that path. And I wanted to align myself with Christa and have you, viewers, have an opportunity to hear how important it is for consistency in your plans, in your day-to-day plans, because it's nice to be able to do things, but I feel like consistency is the key to it all. And I will tell you, I am the first, or had been, because I like to say had been, or historically, because present moment, that is not the case, to kind of scarf at like consistency. Like, I'm like, consistent, blah, right? I just felt like that was something that would keep me here, but I realized that it is important. Like, you have to be able to, one, practice it over and over again, do it. I think it's the act of it that brings about confidence. And so that's what we're here talking about, how consistency played into what the decision that Christa made, and also how she's living her life now as an artist and her practice of being consistent. So she already shared how she got started, she shared her why, and the next thing I want to talk about is number 5. Number 5, if you've seen my post before, I went through the 10 tips of creating consistency, and number 5 seems to have resonated with a lot of folks. I mean, people, every time someone texts, they'd be like, that number 5, that number 5, that's me, right? Number 5 is really about F the feelings.
Oh, yes. That is key.
Tell me why.
Oh my God. So first of all, when you're working for yourself, or when you're doing anything that you've decided is important to you, you're gonna have all sorts of feelings about it. Like I'm up and down and around town all day, but at the end of the day, like you said, F the feelings, you have to do your work. Like, nobody can, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I care that things hurt you or that you feel some kind of way about it. But at the end of the day, you have to do your work. No one's gonna, like, you just have to show up and make the donuts every day. Like, I'm tinkering away in my home studio every day. Nobody sees the hours that I log. Every day, when nobody's buying my work, looking at my work, it doesn't matter, because I made a commitment to my art practice and to this lifestyle. So I gotta get up and make it happen. Nobody is emailing me, knocking on my door. I gotta go out there and knock on doors and email people, say, hey, look at my stuff. So, and even if you're crying, I work sometimes through my tears. Ask my best friend. Like, this week has been a very challenging week. Like, crying and not wanting to be bothered, but I still got up and I went in and I did my work. Like,
and so that reminds me of what I said to everyone, is it's the commitment to the vision that is ultimately going to get you through.
Exactly.
Right?
So you got to articulate that and and review it every day. Why am I doing this again? Like, because what's going to happen is you are going to forget. Like, every third day I'm like, why am I doing this? This is so hard. I could just go make $125,000 like right now, and not have to deal with this. But it's like, oh, I want to be financially independent, and I want time freedom, and I want to be my own boss. I don't need anybody telling me. So I have to remind myself, because it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very challenging. And you're going to you're going to have doubts every third day.
Right. I laughed when I was when I started chanting and I got to day 3. I was like, I'm not there yet at day 21. And I'm like, and it's like however many more days to go. And then I had to remind myself, as you said, what's the reason I'm doing this? And I know for me doing it, and again, you'll get an opportunity to hear my reflections, but just really quickly, one of the things that through chanting has got me to be here right now.
Outside, we're
interviewing outside, living the vision of being able to connect with people, serving as the storyteller and the speaker that I've longed to be, that I am, not even long to be, that I always am. So I know that there is benefit to it, but I always have to look at that. So create your vision, write it down, and remind yourself on a day-to-day basis your whys, your reasons why, because that's going to be ultimately what carries you through, not the feelings. And
then I think it's okay to take a little bit of time to explore the feelings a little bit. Now, the feelings should never stop you from working. But every now and again, I ask myself, well, Christa, what exactly are you feeling right now? Are you tired? Are you discouraged? Are you scared? And just articulate it.
Yes.
But don't ever let it stop your work. It's okay to cry. It's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to get scared. But you can't let it stop your work.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference between kind of I didn't say F your feelings, right?
Yeah.
I said F the feelings.
Yes.
Right? As not to personalize it to you, and also as to honor you and the feelings and the emotions that will come up, because we're human and we're going to have them.
Yep.
And so we get to honor them, as you said, and explore them and get in contact with them and keep moving. Right? That's one of my number 8 is keep going. In spite of it, you just keep going. And so I had to think, when I think about this, I also think about forgiveness and how that kind of plays into how it can. I don't know if it does. So I'll ask you where does forgiveness come in, and what moments do you have to say to yourself, forgive yourself, whether it's forgive yourself for having quit that $125,000 job, right? Or more or less, and thinking how am I going to pay the bill, some of the real deal things, and then having to forgive yourself. And what does that process of forgiveness look like for you?
So I just went through this literally today. It started on Monday and it went through today. So today, later this evening, I'll be sharing a new set of paintings, a new set of collages, new work on my website. And I was stressing myself out about it to the point where I got really anxious and depressed. And I was like, you're making this too big. It's this is your work and you're just sharing it, and you need to enjoy the process, and you shouldn't be complaining. Not that you shouldn't be complaining, but it's totally okay to have your feelings about what's happening. So I had to sit down and say, okay, Christa, what's going on here? And I was like, of course I'm scared, because you're putting out this very personal work and you don't know how people are gonna be receptive of it. But then I said, you know what? You don't have to do it this way next time. I'm gonna be putting out work in a different kind of way next time. So I took a minute to say, you know what? You can forgive yourself for that. You tried to do it in a way that you saw other people do it, and forgive yourself for doing that, because that's not authentic to how you want to share your work. So scrap that. You don't have to do it that way, and next time you get to do something different. So it was just sort of don't beat yourself up. You're human. You're trying to figure this out. So of course you're looking at other people and saying, oh, maybe I can do it that way. Maybe that's how I'm supposed to do it. And I just said this morning, I was like, just forgive yourself and just keep it moving. Be kind, and you can do it differently the next time in a way that's going to make you feel good, and that's going to be completely even more authentic to who you are. So it shows up in different ways.
Right.
But I do have to periodically tell myself, Christa, you need to be a little nicer to Christa. But I get you.
And I think for the last tip, and then you'll tell me if there's one that you want to talk about in particular, but one of the things I think it's important, in addition to forgiving yourself and getting started and effing the feelings, is celebrating your wins.
That's the one I want to talk about.
Oh, look at that. So go ahead, take it away.
This is a hard one for me personally.
All right.
Only because I think I shared this on my Insta stories yesterday, that I am both a type A, I'm an overachiever, and there was a third one. Anyway, it's all these things. I'm very self-critical, but that's just the nature of, and I'm not competing with anybody. I'm competing with myself. And I don't take moments to just celebrate the wins. I don't do the rah, 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 but a good friend of mine who also made the leap, and I'm so proud of her. Her name's Danya. We were chatting yesterday on the phone, and she said, I want to do this thing with you where we send each other texts and we share this thing she calls the Trinity. And it's like you brag about something, you share gratitude about something, and then you sort of cast a desire about something. And I was like, the bragging part is going to be really challenging for me because I don't have anything to brag about. And she's just like, what?
That's my
I was like, oh, I guess I should take a minute to take stock of the good things that are happening. But it is hard for me because I'm the type of person like, check, okay, what's the next thing? What we doing? And I don't take a minute to be like, look at all the stuff you accomplished. But it's hard for me. It's a struggle.
Right.
Mainly because and people look at my history with like having a kid when I was 14 and then, you know, having these 2 Ivy League degrees and stuff like that. And they're like, oh my God, you're so amazing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was just doing my work. But I do need to do a better job at that because when you're out here by yourself, nobody's patting you on the back, giving you like a stellar evaluation like your bosses used to. Nobody's doing that. And you need that.
Right.
So I'm learning,
you have to do it to,
yeah,
give it to
I'm learning
yourself.
how to do that. You know, if you have tips, let me know.
Well, I have some for you. Don't worry, you're here with Coach Keisha. I got you covered. I was thinking as you were talking, it made me think about a moment so many years ago. So I have, as I mentioned, I have 3 daughters. 2 of them are young adults now. And I recall when they were athletes, right? They would play basketball. And every time after a game, I'd say to them, oh, so I went into like analyzing, kind of what can you do next time, what ways you can improve. And I remember so clearly, they said to me, and it had to be about 10, 11 years old, 10, 12 years old, and they said, sometimes we just want to enjoy the moment.
Out of the mouth of babes.
Right? Sometimes we just want to celebrate the win without thinking about, and I realized that that had been my thinking of like, let's move on. So now you did this, what's on to next? Because there was something blocking for me being able to accept all the great work that had gone into, for me, that had gone into the work that I've done, and then for them have gone into the work that they've done. There's many hours of practicing, right, up early, challenging themselves, and I'm like, I want to celebrate that. And so I say that along the way, you get to celebrate your wins, and particularly you look back or how far you've come. And I think that in and of itself is celebration enough. But some tips that I like to give. So if you have challenges with celebrating yourself, I say, like, all the things that you do, write it down. After I spend 10 or 15 hours of doing X, Y, and Z, of logging my work, or, you know, after a month of logging my work, I'm going to, and you choose, take myself on a date. I'm going to go see a play. Right, so just like when you were working in a traditional job, as you said, you were getting the performance appraisal and appraisal. So create some method of being able to self-appraise. And then you can have it be a time marker, right? So every 2 months, every 3 months.
Like that.
And it could be long term, but I'm here for the short term.
Yes.
And so
feel good. I need to win.
I'm like, I pat myself on the back. You did that. After this interview, I may go buy me a mocha or I really don't drink coffee, so I'm not going to do that. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something, even if it's just saying, yay me. And that's one of the things that I talk to when I say celebrate your win. Yay me, yay you. And also when you have your accountability partners, right? So I have those, is being able to check in and say I did that, and then there's someone who's there who can give you the praise as well.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm just calling so you can tell me how badass I am, right?
Oh my goodness,
like,
that makes me
up.
so nervous. I'm gonna do it though.
So what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna start talking. So now we just started this brag thing, and I just sent her one today. So I'm gonna keep doing that every day.
What was your brag today?
So I sold a painting.
Hey!
Today, which was really nice. It was something I posted yesterday on Facebook, and it sold this morning. So when I get the little notification, I'm like, I get to send off work, which is nice.
So congratulations,
yes.
Rounds of applause, likes, hugs for Christa. She sold art.
Yes, that's a big deal, because it takes a lot for people to think about making that kind of investment. So I'm so grateful, and I just love packaging up things and shipping them off. So that was big, and normally I would not tell anybody about it. I'll just be like, oh, okay, just log it in my little financial book or whatever. But I'm like, no, you're set. People are buying your art to put on their walls. That's a big thing.
That is a big deal.
Like, there are pieces of me all over the world.
Well, there's a piece of you right here on my.
She's wearing.
I'm adorning the pen. That you can get off of
ChristaDavid.com.
There you go. So there's a piece of you on people's walls, on people's clothing, and then also in people's hearts.
That makes me feel good.
Right, because I've been following you. I can't really call it now, but for a really long time.
Yes.
And I've watched the journey and the transitions and the Etsy's and then the writing up, right? The Etsy and then the writing of the vlog and then the transition into the artwork. And it's good to know, because sometimes people don't know this, that you were always doing this. So to some people, it may look like it came out of nowhere.
Right.
But it didn't. Like, this has been a passion of hers for a long time. She's been doing it, but maybe not sharing it. And that's another tip that I say, don't keep it a secret. Share, let people know. And not that you were necessarily keeping it a secret.
I was.
You were? Okay,
yes.
She admits it. She was.
I gotta do better with the promotion.
She was keeping it a secret. And speaking of which, because I'm glad that you said that, I have to do better with the promotion. So you're at a place in a space right now where you're looking for interns.
Oh yes!
See, promotion. I got her. Come on.
I love my friend. So yes, I'm looking for 2 interns, and these are there's a small stipend involved, because I do believe in exchanging that kind of energy when it comes to people working for me. So you can go to ChristaDavid.com/intern to check out the 2 positions that I'm looking for. They need to be New York City based, only because I like the personal in person. Right. But I promise you, I will take really good care of my interns.
Yeah, I trust that. I trust
serious. Like, it's about training and mentoring and teaching, while they're also helping me grow my art studio.
Right.
So
I'm gonna. You're kind of sideways, but I'm gonna take a moment
to look at
the questions, to see if there are any questions, to see what comments are here. Do any of you have any questions for Christa? Somebody say, "You go, girl." Yeah, and I know we are tanning. Vision board for me now. That's Jerry. That's what Jerry's up to. There's rounds of applause, and I'm sure that round of applause is for Christa selling that artwork. And someone said, this is so inspirational. Continue the great work.
Yes, keep doing these videos and sharing people with us. Keisha is connected to so many powerful people, and she's blessed so many people. So you need to bring them on. Line them up. Line them up. Get information.
Let's get information, yes. I'm with it. So again, if you're joining in, this is Christa David, entrepreneur now, right? Yes. Transition from career job to entrepreneur, doing mixed media artwork, and I could not be so very proud of you for taking that leap of faith. And when I was looking at your bio, it's no coincidence actually that the themes of your artwork is faith, power, politics, and identity.
Yep, those are important. Those are the things I care about. Those are the things I think about, and those are the things I think other people should think about too. So that's Christa David. I am Keisha Orr. You can watch the video again, run it back so that you can see her handles. Share it with other people.
Please share with other people. I look forward to coming back and being with you again. In particular, in relation to the 21 Day of Creating Consistency. And I want to shout out to everyone who has decided to join me on the 21 Days of Creating Consistencies. Even if you haven't put it on Facebook per se, because you're doing it in the cracks and in the corners so no one can see you, that's okay too. But I just want to remind you to get an accountability partner. Get someone that could support you and share the vision with someone, right? Let it be known to others. And above all else, keep going. Keep going. And so thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining. You can see Christa's work. You can buy Christa's work. You can share so that other people may buy Christa's work. And I look forward to seeing you back here sometime next week and continuing in the future. Thank you so much.
Woo, thank you. This was so much fun.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Just one more check to see if there's any questions. No, I don't see any questions. So have a great day. Oh, I have my no, it actually doesn't work that way.